Welcome, everybody. John Zegar. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 8:10, eastern slope of Colorado. Let me look out the window. Overcast. We had rain yesterday, and I'm fairly certain it looks like we're going to have rain again today. I'm looking at the mountains, and there's still heavy snow up in there. The runoff is on, but it's going to be an extended runoff this year. There's a lot of snow up there. We're going to have a lot of flooding here. Probably within the next couple weeks anyway, it's going to start. Looks pretty from down here. I don't know what the temperature is. I just keep saying it's always in the 70s. Who knows? But I'm at home. Got up early, did a little bit of research and stuff. Drinking some half and half coffee. And it's pretty good. And getting my day started. Thought I would do a podcast this morning on a topic that has a lot of elements to it, but it's really not that difficult, right? Oh, boy, that tastes good. So I'm going to explain it in my terms, layman's terms. I'm not a neuroscientist. I do neuroscience research. And I've been doing that pretty heavily for 10 years. And of course, prior to that was clinical psychology forever, it seems like. And during that time, I dealt with compulsive disorders, and medical doctors would send me various patients of theirs, some of which had terminal illnesses and whatnot, right? And so I've treated just almost every mental health disorder and a variety of physical disorders, but from the psychological standpoint. And I had some success. I mean, 43 years, I hope I had some success, and I did. And I felt really good about it. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about a different perspective. The way I viewed it and the way I talked about it back then was just different terminology. The same things happen then that happen now. There's just different words and terminology that are used today, different from back then. The results are pretty much identical. Okay? So, this little podcast, I think I put on it, how to upregulate and downregulate genes. And it's really not all that complicated. When we're talking about upregulating and downregulating genes, we're talking about getting healed or not. Okay? So let's look at upregulating genes first today. And this is science. I mean, it's research that I've done, and different people will describe it maybe in different words and terms than I do, but everybody's different. It all ends up being the same. So you go with the basic premise that our thoughts, right, can and do give us disease. What we think can produce disease. And so if our thoughts give us disease, how do they do that? And Dr. Joe talks about, and he's very clear and specific about it, but he just says that, a lowering of your vibrations can cause you to get disease. Yeah? That's pretty clear. A lowering of your frequency. So what happens when you lower your frequency? How do you lower your frequency? There's some very basic answers to that. If you're feeling depressed or despondent or angry or bitter or resentful or anxious, get the idea? If you have negative emotions going on in your life, your frequency is going down. Okay, the opposite is true. That if you feel happy and joyful and peaceful, and you have great amount of gratitude and thankfulness, and you have kindness, and just a variety of positive emotions going on in your life, you're increasing your frequency. Okay? Now, here's the second step to that. I think everybody's kind of got that. It's been out here on the internet for a long, long time, and that's kind of tried and true, and everybody, I think, just understands the negative emotions cause a lowering of frequency, which is causing, the upregulating of disease genes. And the positive emotions, which is a raising of your frequency, is causing a down-regulating of diseased genes. One is where the disease genes are coming up into your body biologically, right? From outside, from the environment, from the universe, from the unified field. I mean, everything comes from out here. So, for instance, let's just use an example. Let's say there's a specific cancer, and it requires 200 of a particular gene. Okay? And I'm not a biologist, so this is just me trying to interpret the best I can what I read and what I listen to, okay? Every disease has a different amount of genes. Some diseases, it's, 20, and some are 100, some 2, some 5. It varies. So the more negative you are for a longer period of time, it allows you to upregulate some more of those diseased genes, possibly for that particular cancer. That makes sense? Okay. Opposite is true. If you are happy and have a great amount of gratitude and thankfulness and the like, you're down regulating the negative or diseased genes that you have in your body out of your body. You're flushing them out. So, and we're just taking hypothetical cases and numbers, okay? So this part is just me kind of blabbing. But let's say you needed 200 of a particular gene to have that particular type of cancer, and you had 100 of those genes already up-regulated into you. As you take a different outlook, this is your thoughts and emotions now, which is the next step I'm going to talk about. You're down regulating some of that 100 of genes that disease genes that you have in you. So maybe you go from 100 to 90 and to 85 and to 80 and to 65, who knows? But you're down regulating or you're flushing that out. Now, the longer the period of time that you're able to stay at a higher frequency, the quicker, the sooner that the disease gets out of your body. Okay? Good coffee. So again, this is stuff that's on the internet and has been, and you can go find it and listen to it, and it's pretty clear. I'm guessing all you guys already know this stuff. I'm pretty sure of that. Now, there are the people that are new to, for instance, if you read Dr. Joe's students and whatnot, there seem to be, I don't know, a new student or two every single day, being thankful that they were allowed in the group. So I'm also talking to the new students who haven't gotten to this point yet. Right? Okay, so now we get into, thoughts create our disease. Now I'm going to take you through this scenario. You're a little kid. I'm not going to go talking about age thing and at what time you get this, that, and the other thing. Okay, when you're a little kid, you're being given beliefs that you develop perceptions to, right? Okay. Your mother has diabetes, and it's complicated and difficult and a hardship for her, and she has a lot of bitterness about doctors and medicine and disease, and you're just a little peep walking around listening to all this, and you formulate an opinion. The opinion is, and a lot of this is done just subconsciously, the opinion is, I'm not ever going to get like that. I don't want that disease. I don't want to be diabetic. Boy, that looks awful and difficult and not a good thing. Or you formulate an opinion, a belief, a thought that goes, I've got the bullseye on my forehead. I'm certainly going to get diabetes, and I'm due, and I'm going to go through all that bad stuff. So based on whether you believe you're going to get it or you don't even want it and you're not going to get it, right? All of a sudden, now your thoughts and emotions go from positive to negative. Now, all of a sudden, your frequency goes from high to low. Now, all of a sudden, you're attracting disease or you're not. Follow me so far? Okay. So you grow up. You get a little bit older. You get, I don't know, maybe you're in your 20s or something, or early 30s. It's different. And you say to yourself There is no way I'm going to be like my mother. Again, please understand, we're not having the conversation today in this podcast about genetics and heredity and do you get your disease that way, because that doesn't exist. Okay, I'm not going to go into that conversation today. We'll go into that maybe tomorrow or another day. But it's all about beliefs and perceptions. So you have two kids grow up, you've heard me say this story before. You have two kids grow up in the same household with the mom who has diabetes, sees the same behavior and hardship and whatever. One little kid may say, that isn't going to happen to me ever and ever and ever. And the other little kid says, I've got the bullseye right on my forehead. I'm for sure going to have diabetes. Right? So now you're either up-regulating or down-regulating based on your thoughts and your perception. And it has either increased or heightened your frequency or lowered your frequency, and you're attracting disease. As Dr. Joe talks about, at age 35 or somewhere in the middle of your life there, whatever age, it doesn't really matter, these thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions, which are formulated in the neurons in your brain that form neuron clusters, they become hardwired, and that becomes your program. Right? That becomes your program. That's why you are the way you are today, is from a program that you learned when you were a little kid from the adults in your life. And you either bought it hook, line, and sinker. What's he say? I accept, believe, and surrender to that thought, belief, right? Or you don't. So up-regulating and down-regulating is a process that happens through your mind, through your thoughts, through your beliefs, through your perceptions. Everybody okay with that? It's all been pretty clear. Okay. So now take it as another step. We're gonna talk about two more things. One is, let's look at the people who get kicked out of hospice. I like to say to people sometimes when they ask me, well, what do you do? Well, I get people kicked out of hospice. Of course, I'm joking. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But here's how it works. The people who have spontaneous remissions, we all know what that stuff is, right? The people who have spontaneous remissions, oh gosh, some people see that as a miracle. And the other people see it strictly as scientific, like a scientific anomaly. There's I'll just guess at this one. There's a 1.6% chance that a person with this particular terminal illness can self-cure. That's called a scientific anomaly, and it does happen, and it does exist. Okay, so there's those two avenues. But here's what research in neuroscience suggests. All right? And here it is. It's a change in belief. It's a change in belief, your belief system. So we have this program. Follow along with this, you guys. We have this program. And this program says, I accept, believe, and surrender that I'm going to have this diabetes that my mom did, and it's going to be awful, and everything's going to be terrible, and it can progress to where you start losing limbs, and you actually can die from the diabetes, as it continues on for long enough periods of time. There are the people, and just pick any terminal illness, whatever you want. It could be cardiovascular, or who knows. But there's a point in time where you change your belief. Maybe for a long period of time, you are in the camp that says, I accept, believe, and surrender. What I saw, my beliefs, my perceptions, bullseye on my forehead, I got it. I'm here. I'm in the latter stages. I don't have a pretty picture in front of me. Western Newtonian medicine is worthless, and they basically send you to hospice or send you home to get your affairs in order. They don't know what they're doing. You take it upon yourself, and there's story after story after story. Please go on the internet and just start Googling around for these different stories of people who have self-healed or had spontaneous remission. And start putting together your own research with how they did that. They sat down at some point, and there's a couple things that they talk about. One is very important, and I mentioned this yesterday a little bit. Excuse me. There's a greater intelligence inside each and every one of us. We don't know how to heal us, but whoever made me knows how to heal me. In my talking to people and doing research, that's one of the things that I came across all the time. The other one, number 2 for me, and again, everybody's going to have their little different, 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of things. It's just different. The other one that I ran across is that people said to themselves at a certain point in time, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of having my disease, right? And having a prognosis that I'm going to die. Who in the hell can tell me that? Nobody can tell me that. Except the diagnosis, but not the prognosis. And I don't think I want to have the belief system regarding my terminal illness. I am very now. This is where it switches. Everybody pay attention here. This is where it switches from negative thinking to positive thinking. Now, the big G word, gratitude, comes in to play. Right? Excuse me, I'm having a little bit of a difficult time this morning. Now people decide to look in terms of gratitude, thankfulness, blessings, and everything that they have, regardless of how minute it is. And they switch their thinking. Now, when they switch their thinking, they're switching what? They're switching their belief system. Frequency goes up, right? Down-regulating all those nasty disease genes out of your body start to happen. Here's the interesting thing. This is what science marvels at. They don't understand. And I'm not sure there's anything to understand other than that change in belief can happen in an instant, can happen in a matter of minutes, can happen in a matter of hours, a day or a few days. I suppose it could happen in a matter of, a period of time, whatever that is. But for the most part, when we're looking at spontaneous remission, it's an immediate kind of thing. Because they're dumping those disease genes instantly. Go back to Dr. Joe and listen to him talk about his students that have gone through, I don't know if he calls them workshops or seminars or whatever he calls them, but when they're in there doing their meditations, and again, all he's trying to do with the meditations, you guys, it's a tool. This is not rocket science. He's just trying to lower the brain waves down to theta so that you're able to do what you need to do, right? Increase your frequency and get in touch with the unified field and all the infinite possibilities that exist, blah, 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 blah. It's not rocket science. But what he'll talk about is that he'll have people come up with testimonials on stage that have grave third or fourth stage disease, ready to die. And in the matter of the meditation, they downregulated everything. They changed their belief system, and they're disease-free. Pretty good, huh? So, go back and listen to this podcast again. It's a great podcast. It's very thorough. It's very accurate. There's another piece I wanted to throw in there just about what I did back when I was doing clinical. We did the same thing. We didn't use the same terminology, wording, or whatever, but I had the same reactions. I had people that may have had physical illnesses self-heal. I had people that had emotional issues self-heal. I had people that had compulsive disorders self-heal. Same principle back then. Same principle. It just wasn't like a real trendy kind of thing. I mean, the people who recovered from alcoholism or drug addiction or whatever have you, depression, anxiety, I mean, they did happen. They did happen way back in the day. And it happened in the same way that I just described. So anyway, have yourselves a good Father's Day. I think that's what it is today. And hope you enjoy your Sunday. God bless everybody. Take care of one another, and I look forward to talking to y'all again real soon. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.